Show don't tell is spouted so often these days it's almost become a writing cliche. It's also somewhat inaccurate. There are definitely times you want to tell rather than show. That said, the meaning of the message still holds. If you want to engage your readers, if you want to grab their attention, you need to give them something concrete to grasp hold of, because it's hard to grasp hold of an abstraction. As Janet Burroway puts it in her creative writing textbook, Imaginative Writing, which is one of my textbooks in graduate school, what all imaginative writing has in common is that it calls up pictures in the mind. Writing as an art begins when we surrender ourselves to the world of images. So what's the difference between imagistic writing, as we might call it, and writing that doesn't call up images in the reader's mind? Flat writing, writing that doesn't call up mental images, that tells rather than shows, consists of abstractions, generalizations, and judgments rather than sensory details. Abstractions are the names of ideas, things like justice, liberty, equality, fear, anger, love. All of those are abstractions. They're important to our conceptualization of the world, but we don't experience them directly through our senses. The best we can do is call up a specific image of this idea playing out in the real world. For fear, for instance, I might call up an image of a person trembling in fright, or an image that causes me to feel afraid, like scorpions. Ugh, they're all over the place down here. Generalizations are also abstract in their way. They're words that call up a huge group, and so the best we can do is make a vague picture out of them. Generalizations include words like people, or plants, or vehicles. We only get, at best, a cloudy image from those concepts. And then judgments are those statements or ideas that tell us how to think or how to feel, rather than showing us something and leading us to feel that way about it. Describing something or someone as mean or pretty or narrow-minded falls into this category. Instead of presenting the readers with an image and letting them come to a conclusion about it, a judgment gives the reader the author's or the narrator's conclusion about it and doesn't give the reader an image at all. Again, all of these have their place in human communication, so it would be impossible to cut them out of our writing altogether, nor would it be desirable. But when we're writing scenes to engage our readers, which is one of the primary goals of most fiction writers, we want to focus rather on concrete, significant sensory details. This is what imagery is all about. We want our reader to see, hear, smell, taste, and touch what we're presenting them. When showing a scene, we want to appeal to at least one of the 5 senses, and ideally more than one. And we want to do this through details. The more specific our choice of focus, the clearer our image is going to be. Now, not every image needs to be super detailed or crystal clear, of course. The degree of clarity or specificity that you're seeking depends on the needs of your story or your scene. So it may be perfectly adequate in your story to say there was a tree by the pond and move on. But you'll give your readers a clearer mental image and thus get them to pay closer attention if you say something like, "The willow tree stood by the stagnant pond, its branches drooping like braided hair, swaying low and stirring up the surface of the emerald-coated water every time a breeze blew by." That's a little bit of a clearer picture, right, than "there was a tree by the pond." But of course, you only want to make your reader pay attention to the things that matter. And the more something matters, the closer they should pay attention. So you probably want to save your deeper details for images of significance. Significant details should suggest an abstraction, or a generalization, or a judgment, or all of the above, without actually saying it. Let the readers do that last step of the work to put together the equation you're giving them and make your meaning come alive for themselves. but give them enough concrete sensory detail and the right details to make that meaning clear. So how do you craft images that come alive in your reader's imagination? For one, as I said before, try to appeal to multiple senses. Take the image of a man knocking on a door. What can we do to spice up the image of a man knocking on a door? Let's try this. His gnarled hand knocked 3 times on the old oak door. The wood was rough beneath his knuckles. The knocks echoed back to him like pistol shots. Were you able to get a pretty clear image there? Notice that those 3 images appealed to 3 different senses: sight, sound, and touch. I added some adjectives for clarity: gnarled, old oak, rough. I specified the number of knocks, also 3. I used an active verb, echoed, and a simile, like pistol shots. By choosing these specific details, I'm able to begin building a mood for the scene. I don't know where it's going to go from here any more than you do, but if I've done my job right, I should have painted a picture that raises some questions and adds some suspense. That's what imagery is all about. The communication of emotion and meaning through the choice of specific sensory details. You want to use strong nouns and interesting adjectives for greater impact. Never tack on an adjective or modifier just because you feel you need to add something. Make sure that your nouns are strong enough first. Then make sure any and every adjective you add is serving a specific, necessary purpose. A lot of this is stuff you can figure out in revision, by the way. If you overwrite in your first draft, don't worry about it. We all do that. Just make sure you catch yourself. Make sure you're not adding a whole bunch of fluff. Make sure every word tells. Another tool that adds to imagery, as I pointed out before, is the active verb. It's okay to say a character moved quickly, but it's a little clearer to say she ran, and clearer still to say she sprinted. And if you really want your image to stick in the reader's head, consider adding a figure of speech for added clarity. She sprinted like Flojo in the Olympic finals. Why don't you give this a try in your own writing? Write a passage of description or a scene of action using concrete, specific, and significant sensory details. Choose strong nouns, useful adjectives, and active verbs. Try appealing to more than one sense. Even try to appeal to all 5 of them throughout the course of your passage. You can always rein it back in later on if you need to, if you've overwritten. And sprinkle in a couple of similes or metaphors to add clarity or flavor to the image. I hope this helps you improve your imagery, my friend. If you enjoyed this lesson, please like and subscribe below. Add your comments. I'd love to hear from you. And until next time, good luck and good writing. Keep it imagistic. Peace.